What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we have the week 11 college football talk covering week 10 and 11. Before we get to that, I just want to say congratulations to the Dodgers. As much as I was rooting for the Blue Jays, when you spend that much money, you kind of, I don't want to say expect to win, but you should win. I guess is what I should say. NASCAR finished up. Corey Heim won the Truck Series. Jesse Love won the Xfinity, and Kyle Larson just won the the main, the Energy Cup. I think is what it is this year. So that's been going on. Basketball starts tomorrow. I'll be up bright and early for that. I was actually in the mountains today out here in North Carolina, by the Blue Ridge Parkway and all that, looking at all the trees, changing colors, and, it was pretty cool. So that being said, quit yapping about that, and we'll go ahead and get into it. I gotta be honest, I thought I was gonna go, pretty good. Started off 4-0, and then Thursday hit pretty bad. So, again, I'll go over the games I got wrong, and then if these games had anything good happen in them, I'll go over them as well. So we got the Coastal and UTSA game wrong. Coastal beat Marshall 44-27, and then UTSA beat Tulane 48-26. Then we got the North Carolina Syracuse game wrong 27-10. I was sitting there on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I was like kicking myself because why in the world did I pick Marshall? I don't know, but anyway, I was watching this game, the Coastal Marshall game, and the commentators mentioned that between these two teams, I believe it was these two, it could have been these two, but I believe it was Coastal and Marshall. There were 131 total transfers on both teams. 131. And they said that, I can't remember the exact number. It was like 3,580 something. But anyway, 3,500 plus transfers last season in all of FBS, or I guess just Division I football. 3,500 transfers. That's absurd. Granted, there's only 33,355 total Division I football players, but to have 3,500 plus transfer is absurd. I just wanted to say that. So anyway, on the back, Tuesday, James Madison got back-to-back weeks of 50 plus points. They keep racking them up. Kennesaw State scored 17 unanswered points to be bowl eligible for the first time ever. Beats UTEP 33-20. Jack State late fourth quarter touchdown to beat Middle Tennessee 24-21. Missouri State first ever home win versus FBS school beat FIU 28-21. On Thursday, Coastal Carolina scores 27 unanswered points and got 4 straight turnovers versus Marshall 44-27, and then UTSA shocks Tulane 48-26. UTSA quarterback went 31 for 33 with 370 yards and 4 touchdowns. Crazy game. And then Friday, North Carolina had 21 second half points to beat Syracuse 27-10. And Sam Houston loses again. They were 0-8. They lost to Louisiana Tech 55-14. So poor old Sam Houston. Them and UMass, they can't help it. Alright, week 10. This was awful. Also, anytime I say I should not pick a bunch of schools in a row, look at this. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 straight road teams won. So if I ever say that, go in the comments and just make fun of me for saying that. Because, well, I just ate my own words. So, We got the Texas Vandy game wrong. Texas won 34-31. SMU beat Miami 26-20 in overtime. West Virginia beat Houston 45-35. Shout out Aaron at Wild and Wonderful Through the Mail. West Virginia won. Arizona State beat Iowa State 24-19. Buffalo beat Bowling Green 28-3. I was hoping Bowling Green would win. They were home, but I guess they decided to let the Buffalo team just run wild. New Mexico beat UNLV 40-35. And then Fresno State beat Boise State 30-7. How about that? Louisiana beat South Alabama 31-22. Mississippi State beat Arkansas 38-35. That was a great game. Western Michigan beat Central Michigan 24-21. NC State took down Georgia Tech 48-36. Oklahoma beat Tennessee 33-27. Kentucky beat Auburn 10-3. That has a coach fired for that one. Oregon State beat Washington State 10-7. Arkansas State beat Troy 23-10. Yes, I got more wrong. Utah beat Cincinnati 45-14, and San Jose State beat Hawaii 45-38. Brutal. Brutal week. We went 26-17. 26-17 on Saturday. We went 32-20 overall, and that puts us at 423 and 137 on the season, which is 75%. Of course, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to, sit here and be like, oh, I chose this and this instead of this and this. Like, I'm not going to get them all right. So, pretty eventful Saturday, I would say. Army walk-off field goal to beat Navy 20-17 for the Commander-in-Chief trophy. Ohio State rolls past Penn State 38-14. North Texas hands Navy their first loss 31-17. Also, speaking of Penn State, real quick. Is Penn State going to be a bowl team this year? That's what I'm curious about, because they got 4 wins right now, and they have about 4 games left, and they have to win at least 2. So, we'll see what they can do. West Virginia upsets Houston on the road 45-35. Vandy comes up short versus Texas 34-31. Texas finally got the home game back after like a month straight of away games, come back home and win. Duke beats Clemson on the road for the first time since 1980, 46-45. They had a last-second touchdown and 2-point conversion. Now, it was like 4th and a mile, like 4th and 16, and they threw it at like the 5-yard line, threw it downfield. Would have landed about the 5-yard line. The guy on offense for Duke tackled the defender. They were pulling on each other. I'll be honest, they were pulling on each other, but the dude tackled the defender, and they called a defensive pass interference, which set up the touchdown. Dabo Sweeney might get fired. I doubt it, but he's probably in the hot seat. SMU takes down Miami in overtime 26-20. Arizona State takes down Iowa State on the road for bowl eligibility. Georgia survives in the swamp 24-20. Late fourth quarter touchdown helped them out. Kansas State had 5 turnovers and lost versus Texas Tech 43-20. It's a big problem with Kansas State. They like to turn the ball over, which, as much as you know, it's hard to win when you turn the ball over a lot. Virginia beat Cal 31-21. They are 8-1 for the first time since 1990. Buffalo's Red Murdoch has set the NCAA record for the most forced fumbles in a career with 17. So there we go. We got a new college record. New Mexico late fourth quarter touchdown to beat UNLV 40-35. Minnesota beat Michigan State in overtime 23-20. Fresno State had 24 unanswered points to take down Boise State 30-7. Crazy. Honestly, Boise State's decent this year, but obviously not nearly as good as they were last year. The run game is on and off. Louisiana had 24 first half points, projects them to the win versus South Alabama 31-24. Oklahoma State woes continue. They are 8-1. They lose to Kansas 38-21. Western Michigan had 10 fourth quarter points to beat or to lead. I'm getting confused by my own handwriting. West Michigan has 10 fourth quarter points, leads to win 24-21. Who'd they play? Oh, Central Michigan. You would think I'd write that down. Purdue comes up short versus Michigan, 21-16. South Carolina, the only FBS team who hasn't had 350 or more yards of offense, loses to Ole Miss 30-14. South Carolina was good at the beginning of the year, and then they just fell off the table. Kentucky stuns Auburn on the road for the first conference win of the season, 10-3, and their first conference win in like 10 games. They had like a 10-game losing streak in conference games. Also, shout out to Kentucky to going into Auburn and keeping Auburn out of the end zone, only allowing 3 points. Colorado, 5 turnovers and blowout loss versus Arizona, 52-17. We'll talk about Colorado here in a minute. USC had a fourth quarter touchdown to beat Nebraska 21-17. We'll talk about that game as well later. Oregon State, second straight win versus Washington State, 10-7. Oregon State might be turning things around. 2 straight wins now. I think they have a new coach, and they're 2-0 with them. North Carolina State, or also NC State, hands Georgia Tech their first loss, 48-36, and big upset. Now, it was funny because they said the last time that one of these teams was ranked, I believe, or a certain amount of years ago, NC State was number 8, and Georgia Tech was unranked, and Georgia Tech went in there and beat them. This time, Georgia Tech was number 8, went into NC State, and lost. So, whenever these two play, it'll be a good game most of the time. And then the last thing, Oklahoma hangs on versus Tennessee, 33-27. My fantasy league is blowing up my phone. I'm not even going to talk about fantasy. We are like 2-6. But you didn't hear that. All right, so bowl teams added in week 10. Again, I'm not going to go over the records. I'm just going to go through the schools. Kennesaw State, UConn, Illinois, SMU, Arizona State, New Mexico, Notre Dame, Minnesota, Fresno State, Old Dominion, and USC. Now, you would think Notre Dame, as high as ranking as they are, they would have already been bowl ranked, especially if they get bowl eligibility in the same week as Old Dominion and UConn. But, I guess that goes with, their schedule and all that. I finally had to do this. Undefeated teams who lost. Navy lost to North Texas 31-17, and Georgia Tech lost 48-36 to NC State. All right. I haven't done this at all. I figured I probably had to do this sooner or later. So here we are. Week 11, NCAA FBS leaders. We're not doing FCS, we'll do FBS. Passing yard leaders, Baylor, Sawyer Robinson. I'm doing 1, 2, and 3. That way we're across the board. Sawyer Robinson from Baylor has 2,780 yards. That should not be 800. Sorry. Joey Aguilar from Tennessee has 2,737 yards, and Drew Mestmaker from North Texas has 2,702. Rushing yards, Cam Cook from Jack State has 1,054. Emmett Johnson from Nebraska has 1,002. And Robert Henry Jr. from UTSA has 955. Receiving yards leaders, Danny Scudero from San Jose State has 1,085 on on 60-ish catches. Skylar Bell from UConn has 994, and then KJ Duff from Rutgers has 854. Your sacks leaders, David Bailey from Texas Tech has 11.5. Yes, 11.5. Nathan Voorhees, not sure. Ball from Ball State has 10 sacks, although with his rushing ability, I probably should know his name. And then Brian Parham from UConn has 9.5. Your interceptions leaders, we have 5 or so tied at 5. I think it's 5, maybe less. Amon Moses from SMU, Lewis Moore from Indiana, Boogie Trotter, what a name, from Marshall, Bishop Fitzgerald from USC, and Elijah Green from Tulsa. passing touchdowns, Sawyer Robinson. Baylor has 26, I think. Yes. Fernando Mendoza in Indiana has 25, and Julian Sayin from Ohio State has 23. Rushing touchdowns, Haynes King from Georgia Tech has 14. Ben Horvath, I think, Navy has 13, and Kawan Lacey from Ole Miss has 13, and then Jonah Coleman from Washington also has 13. Receiving touchdown leaders, Elijah Surratt from Indiana has 10, Cyrus Allen from Cincinnati has 9, and Camden Brown from Georgia Southern has 9 as well. Week 11 AP poll, the shifts, I kind of went away from the 5 because at this point in the season, not a whole lot of teams move that much, so if it was more than one, I pretty much put them on here. BYU went from 11 to 8. Texas Tech went from 13 to 9. Notre Dame 12 to 10. Oklahoma 18 to 11. Virginia 15 to 12. Texas 20 to 13. Louisville 16 to 14. Vandy 9 to 15. Georgia Tech 8 to 16. Utah 24 to 17. Miami 10 to 18. USC 23 to 20. Memphis 25 to 22. Tennessee 14 to 23, and Cincinnati 17 to 25. So a lot of these teams ended up moving backwards, not a whole lot of forward movement. We have finally got them in there. Washington is the only new kid on the block. They are finally ranked. I believe they got in at number 24. Yes, 24, I believe. And then Houston drops out, and they are no longer ranked. All right. Oh, we're about 17 minutes already. Week 11 headlines. Here's some of your good games. Tulane at number 22, Memphis. Number 2, Indiana at Penn State. Number 6, Oregon at Iowa. Number 8, BYU at 13, Texas Tech. Texas A&M at Mizzou. I forgot to write some of the rankings for these. Excuse me for that. Florida State at Clemson. LSU at Alabama. And Navy at Notre Dame. Auburn fires head coach Hugh Freeze after a 4-5 start and a 15-19 total record at Auburn. Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola out for the season. We'll see how Nebraska does. UMass 0-8 plays 3-6 Akron looking for the first win, and Sam Houston also 0-8 plays 2-7 Oregon State looking for their first win as well. Your undefeated teams are Indiana 9-0, BYU 8-0, Ohio State 8-0, and Texas A&M 8-0. And Deion Sanders is in the hot seat. He's 16-18 with the Buffalo, ain't it? Bison, Buffalo, one of the two. And well, he's been ranked twice. He made a bowl game, and that's really it. He has gotten two roughly upsets, and that's really about it. So we'll see. I'm sure if he doesn't do anything this year, he'll probably get the can, maybe. I don't know. Week 11 picks. Tuesday, we're going to take Akron and Ohio for the home wins. Akron should beat UMass, and Ohio, because they beat West Virginia, I'm going to pick them versus Miami, Ohio. Wednesday, we're going to take Kent State. Yes, we are picking Kent State to go on the road and beat Ball State. And I think Ball State's in Ohio, right? You Ball State fans can let me know if there are any out there watching this. Toledo, we're going to take them versus the Huskies of Northern Illinois. We're going to take App State at home versus Georgia Southern. For those of you who live in the mountains, I'm sure your areas are probably pretty nice looking right now with leaves changing colors. In South Florida, we're going to take them versus UTSA. Friday, we're going to take Houston on the road versus UCF. We're going to take USC at home versus Northwestern. And then we're going to take Memphis at home versus Tulane. All right. And then Saturday, as always, starts at noon, ends at 11. And yes, I forgot my Wisconsin Badgers again. The thing is, on the ESPN app, if you have a favorite team, they put them at the top, and when I'm scrolling through, I forget the time they play, and so they're at the bottom, even though they play at 4:30. So we're going to take Indiana at Penn State. We're going to take Georgia at Mississippi State. We're going to take Texas Tech versus BYU. Texas Tech has 1 loss. BYU has none. We're going to take Texas Tech, defend their home turf. We're going to take SMU up in Boston at Boston College. We're going to take West Virginia to beat Colorado. We're going to take 4 straight away teams to pick up a win as Road Warriors. We're going to take James Madison versus Marshall. We're going to take Southern Miss versus Arkansas State. We're going to take Temple versus Army. And we're going to take Ohio State versus Purdue. Purdue almost won last week. I'll give them the credit, but they came up short. The Citadel finally making an appearance. They play Ole Miss. Ole Miss should win that easily. So the Citadel decides to do what they did. Oh, I can't remember who they played. But they beat somebody. I think it was South Carolina. We're going to take Liberty versus Missouri State. Liberty might be back. We're going to take Bowling Green. Hope they don't disappoint me. I might have jinxed myself with that. But we're going to take them. We're going to take Rice versus UAB. We're going to take Maryland on the road versus Rutgers. We're going to take Delaware to beat Louisiana Tech at home. Not favorited to win at all, but who cares? We're going to take Middle Tennessee at home versus FIU. We're going to take Jack State versus UTEP. Run game should be solid. We're going to take East Carolina versus Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte's going to get another win this season. I hate to say it, but no offense, they just kind of suck this year. In every year, seems like. We're going to take FAU versus Tulsa as well. We're going to take Texas A&M versus Mizzou on the road. We're going to take Oregon and Iowa. If Iowa beats Oregon, Iowa will be ranked. But they have to beat Oregon first. If they don't beat Oregon and they lose, they won't be ranked this season. So they have to beat Oregon if they want to be ranked at all. Miami at home versus Syracuse should be an easy win from the Hurricanes as long as Carson Beck doesn't, throw a couple picks. We're going to take Duke on the road versus UConn. UConn's pretty good this year, but Duke just beat Clemson. Rolling on some adrenaline in there. And we're going to take Arizona on the road, at home versus Kansas. We're going to take TCU at home versus Iowa State. And then we're going to take Vandy at home versus Auburn. If Auburn can't even get a touchdown at home versus Kentucky, I don't know how to do on the road at Vandy. We're going to take Kennesaw State versus Mexico State. We're going to take Coastal Carolina versus Georgia State. We're going to take North Carolina at home versus Stanford. The Cardinal going coast to coast. Also, I might have said this in the previous video. I find it so funny that when Stanford left the Pac-12, they joined the ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference on the East Coast, and then they're in the West Coast on the Pacific. But, I guess whatever your money gets you, I guess, is what to go with. Texas State going to beat Louisiana, hopefully. We're going to take San Jose State versus Air Force. We're going to take Virginia at home versus Wake Forest. That could be a good game. Watch out for that one. Wake Forest's offense isn't that good, though, so we'll see. We'll see what they can do. Louisville at home versus Cal. We're going to take Louisville. We're going to take Florida State at Clemson. Yes, I'm predicting Clemson to have back-to-back home losses, especially against Florida State. But you got to remember, it's still Florida State, so we're going to take Alabama at home versus LSU. LSU's good, but not as good as they have been. We're going to take Notre Dame at home versus Navy. I think Navy's going to be like last year in Army. We're going to take Florida at home, on the road versus Kentucky. We're going to take Utah State at home versus Nevada. We're going to take UCLA at home versus Nebraska simply because Raiola is out. If Raiola was in, we'd take Nebraska, but because Nebraska's starting quarterback is injured, we're going to take UCLA and see what they can do. We're going to take UNLV on the road at Colorado State. We're going to take Oregon State to get their 3rd straight win versus Sam Houston. Although I feel like Oregon State's kind of getting some cheap wins here. They beat Lafayette. And then last week they beat... Who'd they beat? And then they beat Washington State, which Washington State probably wasn't a gimme. But now they're getting Sam Houston, who hasn't won a game. So, but if they win, then they're halfway to a bowl game. So, hey, Oregon State could have started out 0-6 and still make a bowl game. San Diego State, we're going to take them versus Hawaii. Based on these two, who they played, San Diego State's them better. So we're going to take them on the road on the islands. And then we're going to take Washington versus my Wisconsin Badgers because we suck. Yes, Bucky the Badger's not making his appearance this week. I'm kind of in the process of moving, kind of packing things up, I should say. And so I just decided to, put them away and whatever. So that'll do it for this video, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know it's a little bit longer. I just had a lot to talk about, especially it being close to the end of the season. The college football playoff ranking is coming out on Tuesday. Obviously, I'm filming this on, or not obviously to you guys, but I'm filming this on Sunday evening at actually 8:30 right now. So this will come out on Tuesday. So the college football ranking, for those of you who don't know what that is, basically, what is it, 10 team, 12 team, whatever the team playoff is, they take the teams like Ohio State or Indiana. Indiana might be number one on this, by the way. But basically, they take all the teams who are in the top 25 and they make a ranking based on how likely they are to make playoffs. Not to win it, to make playoffs. So that's a good indicator of how the committee how the committee is looking at it, because if your team is like Washington and you might be like, oh yeah, we finally got ranked, you might not be in the top 20 or 15 or whatever, or for the playoff, and that's all that matters. You could be ranked 15th, and not make the playoffs because of your schedule and how you've scored. So that'll come out on Tuesday, the day this comes out again. I'll probably end up doing the recap of that next week, and then we'll talk about it and how I feel like that would be easier because I'll have the list of the teams, and then I can see if they won or lost and how that might impact their odds of making playoffs. So that'll do it for this video, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know I keep yapping, but as always, if you want to talk sports in the comments, I'm open for that. I need to do a live stream one of these days, get everything set up and just talk sports for a little while. But yeah, so hopefully you guys had a good weekend. Hopefully everybody who is excited for basketball as much as I am will watch some tomorrow, whether you're at work, at work or at home. Yeah, so till next time, guys. See ya.